Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to break down complex stuff, specialized playbooks, and turn it all into a conversation that hopefully gets you well informed fast. Think of it as your knowledge shortcut. Today, we are getting into something really interesting. The art of, well, getting information, often critical information, without actually asking for it. It's called elicitation. It's a method that everyone from top negotiators to intelligence agencies uses. And just so you know where we're coming from, our whole discussion today pulls directly from excerpts from Elicitation by Chase Hughes, specifically from his book, The Behavior Ops Manual. Now, when you first hear about these techniques, they might seem almost too simple, like just normal conversation. But when you see the psychology behind them, how they're strategically applied, the results can be, well, the source says, nothing short of astounding.
Yeah, and what's really key here, what Hughes points out, is that it's not just about grabbing facts. It goes deeper.
Okay.
When you successfully elicit sensitive info, you actually forge this subconscious connection.
On the bond.
Bond. Because sharing something sensitive, even if prompted subtly, flips a switch psychologically. The person feels connected to you. There's a shared vulnerability, maybe.
A shared secret.
Right, and that connection makes them more likely to share more. It turns a potentially guarded exchange into something that feels, well, personal.
Okay, so let's get into that mechanism. How do you build that bond while, trying to find things out? The source lays out 3 foundational rules, right? First one, you touched on it, subtlety. It has to feel completely natural, like any other chat. Keep those defenses down.
Which leads straight to rule number 2. Use statements, not questions.
Why is that so crucial?
Think about it. A direct question signals demand. It can feel like an interrogation, right? People instinctively pull back.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if they volunteer information responding to a statement you made, they feel like they're in control. They chose to share. That feels better.
Okay, makes sense. And if it feels good?
It builds on itself. That's the third rule. The compound effect. You start small, they get comfortable sharing minor things.
And then
they're more likely to keep sharing even as the topic gets more sensitive. The basic idea is the more sensitive the info you're after, the softer, the more conversational your approach needs to be.
Got it.
And look, none of this works randomly. It taps into very specific, very predictable human traits. These techniques are just the tools. The real power comes from understanding why they work on us.
Okay, let's break down those human factors then, because that's the engine behind it all, isn't it? What's the first one?
The first is pretty straightforward. The need to be recognized. We all want validation, right? We want people to see our achievements, our skills.
So if someone compliments something you did well.
You often elaborate, maybe give details just to sort of confirm that praise was justified.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. What's next?
The second one is huge, strategically speaking, correcting the record.
The someone is wrong on the internet effect.
Exactly. It's this powerful urge. If you hear something inaccurate and you know the right answer, it's almost physically uncomfortable not to correct it. You feel compelled to step in with the facts.
So you don't even ask for the info. You just state something wrong.
Precisely. Let their own need to be right do the work for you.
Clever. Okay, what else drives this?
Number 3 is diffidence. This is about humility or maybe false modesty.
How does that play in?
Well, when someone praises us, we often downplay it, right? To seem humble, it's nothing.
Yeah, standard politeness.
But in that effort to seem modest, Hughes notes, we often spill more information than we otherwise would.
Give me an example.
Okay, say someone says, wow, you must be the top salesperson here. You might say, oh, no, not really, but, well, I did close the Baker account last month, which is, pretty big, around $400. But honestly, the team helped a lot.
So I tried to be humble, but just gave away a huge win and a specific number.
Exactly. You revealed key data while trying not to brag. Then there's the fourth driver, which is just basic human nature. We want to offer advice.
We like being the expert.
Totally. If someone shows genuine interest or even pretends to be a bit naive about something you know well, your job, your hobby, you kind of light up, don't you? You want to share insights, explain things.
Yeah, it feels good to teach someone something.
And finally, number 5. We will offer information to those that disagree.
Okay, how does that work?
If someone doubts you, questions your knowledge, challenges your beliefs, or says your project won't work, what's the instinct?
To prove them wrong. You marshal all the facts, the data, the stories.
Bingo. You deploy information as evidence, as ammunition to change their mind. which, of course, might be exactly the information the other person was hoping to get.
Understanding those 5 drivers, that really clicks. It explains why these subtle techniques pack such a punch.
Right. And knowing this sets the stage for the more complex strategies, like when the information is really critical, really sensitive, and you absolutely cannot let the person realize later what they've shared. That's when you use the hourglass method.
The Hourglass Method. Okay, that sounds serious. The source says this is taught in intelligence training.
Yeah, for high-stakes situations, it's built on how our memory works, specifically two effects: primacy and recency.
Primacy and recency. I think I remember those. Primacy is remembering the beginning of something clearly.
Correct. And recency is remembering the end, the most recent part, just as clearly.
Okay, so beginning and end stick in our minds. What about the middle?
The middle gets fuzzy. Memory studies show it's the part most likely to fade or be remembered vaguely.
So, you hide the sensitive stuff in the fuzzy middle.
You sandwich it, exactly. You start the conversation with general, non-sensitive topics. That's your primacy buffer. Then, in the middle, you elicit the core information you need. And immediately after, you pivot back to light, general stuff, the recency buffer.
So, later on, when they think back on the chat,
They remember the beginning and the end, the safe parts. The sensitive disclosure in the middle is hopefully blurred, less distinct. They remember the overall positive feeling of the conversation, the connection, not necessarily the specific secret they shared.
okay, but how do you make that pivot feel natural?
It has to be smooth. It's about guiding the conversation flow. Let's use the relationship example from the source. Say you need details about someone's past troubled relationship.
Okay, that's definitely sensitive.
You start broad,
Yeah.
talk about relationships in general, maybe dating trends. That sets the primacy buffer.
General check, got it.
Then you narrow it slightly. Maybe you use informational altruism to share a brief, relatively harmless story about one of your past relationships. Nothing too heavy, just enough to signal openness.
Right, giving permission to share.
Exactly. Now the stage is set. You use your subtle statements, maybe provocative statements or citations, to gently draw out the details you need about their relationship. This is the narrow waist of the hourglass, the sensitive part.
And a forgettable middle.
Hopefully. And here's the crucial part. The moment you have what you need, you pivot. Immediately guide the conversation back out. Broaden the topic again, maybe talk about dating apps, funny first date stories, celebrity couples, whatever feels natural.
So the end is light and general again.
Right. That secures the recency buffer. Beginning and end are clean. The sensitive bit is buried in the less memorable middle. They remember connecting with you, not confessing to you.
That's quite a structure. Very strategic.
Yeah.
But obviously, you don't always need that whole framework, right? Sometimes you just need a specific fact quickly.
For sure. And that's where the specific conversational tools come in. Hughes highlights several techniques that can get you key data points, often in like under 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay, let's hear them.
Yep.
What's first?
Let's start with maybe the most versatile one, citations. This leans heavily on that correcting the record reflex we talk about.
Okay. Correcting the record. How does citations use that?
You basically invent a piece of information slightly or significantly wrong,
Okay.
and you attribute it to someone else. You say you read it somewhere or heard it from someone.
Like the grocery store example in the book.
Ah,
That one was brilliant.
yeah, it's a classic. You want to know what a store clerk earns, but asking directly is awkward, maybe even forbidden.
So what do you do instead?
You walk up, maybe you look a little confused or concerned and say something like, hey, I just read this article saying this company bumped all you folks up to like $21 an hour. That's amazing.
Okay, so you've stated a fact and cited a source, an article, but it's wrong.
Right. And what happens? Her brain flags it as incorrect. She feels the need to fix your misunderstanding.
So she'll probably say,
Something like, what, $21? I wish. No, we're still only making $14.75. It's barely enough. Even the supervisors only make about $19.50.
and boom. No question asked, but you got her exact wage, the supervisor's wage range, and even her job dissatisfaction. All from one incorrect statement.
It works for all sorts of things. Need to know when a competitor's product launches. Guess wrong. I heard they're launching next spring. They'll correct you with the actual date. Trying to figure out pricing. Mention a competitor's supposed price. Wow, I heard company X charges $13,000 for that. They'll likely counter with their real number, or at least clarify.
Okay, citation seems powerful for getting specific facts. What's another tool?
Provocative statements. This one taps into the need to be recognized and, well, just the general desire to elaborate when someone shows understanding.
So it's a statement that provokes a response.
Yeah, but not in a negative way. It's usually empathetic or assumptive. something that shows you're paying attention and invites more detail.
Like if a client says they were traveling all last month,
Yeah.
instead of, how was the trip?
You'd say something like, wow, you must be absolutely exhausted.
Okay, that's empathetic.
Right. And because you acknowledge their likely state, recognize their effort or struggle, they often open up more.
What might they say back?
They might respond, exhausted doesn't even cover it. We had delays, I missed my kid's birthday, and honestly, I think the delay cost us that big contract we were chasing.
So my simple empathetic statement got me personal details and potentially crucial business intelligence about a lost contract.
Exactly. You offered understanding, they offered detail in return.
Okay, what if you just need someone to keep talking, to clarify what they mean? Citations get directions, provocative statements get elaboration. What else?
This is where verbal reflection comes in. It's sometimes called the verbal mirror technique. And the source notes, it's even taught by the FBI.
Verbal mirror. Sounds simple.
It is simple, deceptively so. You just repeat the last few words, usually like 2 or 3 words of what the person just said.
Just repeat them. How does that work?
It creates a slight conversational vacuum. It non-verbally prompts them to fill that space by explaining further, clarifying what they meant by those specific words.
Okay, give me an example. Say in a sales context.
All right? The potential client says, look, I'd be ready to move forward if I could just get the full package.
Okay, so my response is,
Simply, the full package. Said with a slightly questioning tone.
and the likely.
Define it for you. Yeah, the installation, the priority deliveries, and that custom follow-up service, all bundled. If it's not all included, it doesn't really work for us. Now you know exactly what full package means to them.
That's neat. Very subtle.
There's also a variation called theme repetition. Instead of just the last few words, you reflect the general topic they mentioned, maybe followed by a provocative statement.
Like how?
Say someone at a party mentions they keep bees. You could say, beekeeping, just acknowledging the theme. Then add, wow, I bet that took a long time to learn.
So I'm reflecting the theme and adding a statement that invites them to talk about their expertise.
Exactly. You're acknowledging their interest and tapping into that desire to share knowledge we talked about earlier.
Okay, moving through the toolkit. What about informational altruism? That sounds generous.
It plays on our tendency to reciprocate. If someone shares something personal or sensitive with you, you feel a sort of social obligation to share something similar back. It's like they gave you permission to be open, so you feel you should be open too.
So I share something first.
Yes, but strategically. You share something that seems sensitive or is maybe mildly sensitive to encourage them to share something on a similar level or maybe even more sensitive. The key is proportionality.
The source had a good example about security.
Yeah, the security flaws one. You might share a story like, man, our office security is a joke. I once found out you could barcode a Snickers bar and the scanner would open the front door.
Okay, that sounds bad, but maybe it's fixed now or not actually that critical. It sounds like a sensitive internal detail, though.
Exactly. It establishes vulnerability. Now the listener feels more comfortable, maybe even compelled to reciprocate to keep the rapport going.
And they might say,
Something like, that's nothing. At my last place, you could literally wrap a Post-it note around your driver's license, show it to the guard, and they'd buzz you straight into the server room.
wow. Okay, so my minor, maybe harmless anecdote got me a potentially major security vulnerability from them.
That's the principle. You gave a little perceived vulnerability, you got potentially a lot more back.
All right. What about getting specific numbers, prices, dates, counts?
2 great techniques for that. First is bracketing. This is like citations, but specifically for numbers. It uses the correct the record drive again.
Bracketing, like putting brackets around the number.
Sort of. You state a range for the number you're looking for, usually a very wide range.
Why wide?
Because a wide range feels less specific, less like you're guessing their exact number. It feels safer for them to correct. The vagueness prompts precision.
Okay, example. I'm negotiating a service, want another profit margin.
You could say, so I figure you guys are making somewhere between, what, $3,000, $5,000 over invoice on each of these deals? That's a big spread.
And the salesperson's instinct.
Is probably to correct that wide range, to bring it closer to reality. They might say, whoa, $5,000, we wish. No, it's actually much closer to $1,200, maybe $1,300 on a good day.
Got it. The wide, inaccurate bracket prompts the specific accurate number.
Precisely. And the final tool we'll cover is disbelief.
Just not believing them.
Kinda. Taps directly into that driver. We will offer information to those that disagree. When you express doubt or skepticism about something they've stated or implied, especially something they're proud of, they feel a strong urge to convince you
How do they convince you?
by providing proof. Facts, figures, details, the very information you might be looking for. They open the floodgates of information, as Hughes puts it, to set the record straight.
Okay, so if a client is talking about their success with online sales, I could say,
Something challenging, like honestly, I find it hard to believe you guys are really making a profit just from online sales in this market. It seems too tough.
ooh, okay, that questions their success directly.
Right, and their likely response. An outpouring of data to prove you wrong. Hard to believe. We just hired 4 new people for fulfillment. We cleared $3 million in gross profit last quarter alone, and our online conversion rate is hitting 4.7%.
And there you have it. Specific metrics, headcount increase, profit numbers, all because I expressed doubt.
Exactly. So when you look at all these tools together, citations, provocative statements, reflection, altruism, bracketing, disbelief, what's the common thread?
They all seem to leverage those basic human needs we discussed earlier, right? The need to be right, to be heard, to seem credible, to connect.
And crucially, they do it through subtle statements and conversational turns, not direct, potentially confrontational questions.
Which brings us back to that dual purpose you mentioned at the start. Elicitation isn't just about information gathering.
No, it's also about building that connection. Because these techniques feel like genuine interest, empathy, and engagement, the other person often walks away feeling heard, understood, validated.
Even if the interaction was strategically designed to extract information,
Right.
they remember the rapport, not necessarily the revelation.
Precisely. They feel good about the exchange. Which leads to a pretty interesting final thought to leave you with, building on the source's point that these techniques work for everything from warming up a client to getting national intelligence level secrets.
Okay, what's the thought?
Well, if strategic elicitation, done well, feels exactly like genuine connection, how often in our everyday conversations, our work meetings, even chats with friends, how often are we unknowingly the operator of elicitation, or perhaps more often, the willing subject? How much of what feels like simple rapport is actually a subtle exchange of information driven by these very human needs?
Until next time, keep exploring and keep those minds open.